are on the last day of soft skills. After this, we'll be moving on to project management. So, what I'm going to be teaching today is personal branding. And the guest that is also joining us, he's very, very brilliant in terms of brand. And he's worked with numerous brands like Vodacom and NB. He's even been abroad and living in Kenya, working with Serengeti. So he pretty much knows the industry through banking, through tech, and he's going to help us. Well, he's going to speak to you guys and answer any questions that you'd like on how you can penetrate and how can you brand yourself to the companies or through the industries that you actually are looking to go into. And he has a lot of stories and examples in which you guys would pretty much be noting down. And also, if you have any questions or challenges that you're overcoming now, it would be best to also ask him. So we're going to start first with the slides, and then after that, we're going to be assessing your passports, your wing finder assessments. Farah, did you manage to do it? Semu? And sorry, Galaxy 810, what is your name? You don't have a name.
My name is Abil Raphael.
Adir Raphael. Okay.
Abil Raphael.
Abir.
Yeah.
Okay, Abir. Very nice. Did you also do the wing finder assessment? I shared the link yesterday, so I think you guys should be able to.
Yeah, precisely. I was very late when I get the notification because it was very shameful to me because it came late for me because of the hard working for that time yesterday.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you didn't do the assessment.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. We'll take a look at for us and who is this? Samu. Perfect. I definitely am curious to see how you guys fared. Don't feel so bad. Don't also like it's just an assessment. It's telling you what you need to know. And the best part about personal branding is that you can always improve. And I will definitely, my expert today is going to also tell you don't feel so bad. Just don't give up. Don't take it as something that is impossible to do. You can always, always, always manage to change how people see you. Cool?
Okay.
All right, let me just share my screen. Kindly, Oh, Farah, you haven't done. Why not? Abir, can you please mute yourself? Sorry.
I'm sorry, I just forgot. So I had a busy day today and I couldn't, so I just remembered that I had to do it.
No worries. You can do it because it's related to your assignment. The assignment for today is pretty much a personal SWOT assignment. So I don't expect you to do it during the session. The session is pretty much just a learning and also a conversation this time. Because the slides I'm showing is 5 and everything else is for you guys to ask us because now this is about how you are going to improve your soft skills and also market yourself to the companies that you're currently working with or the ones that you aspire to work with. So it's very important today. That's why I wanted everyone to join because this expert is here and we're here to pretty much answer all the questions to all of the sessions that you guys have been learning and also to pretty much give you feedback on what does the wing finder assessment mean and how can you market that. No, no worries. Anyway, let me just start and then we'll get to the expert. Kindly mute yourselves so I can start. Okay, just 1 second. Okay. So, personal branding, what does that mean? So, usually when you start with personal branding, it's something that, well, now with technology, it's usually something that you see about yourself online or any other publishing house. So, have any of you ever tried Googling your own name?
Yes.
Okay, what do you get when you Google yourself, Farah?
When I googled my name, I just found some details about my my Facebook account.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I found. Maybe I haven't tried recently as I opened up a LinkedIn, so I don't know if it will appear.
Okay. Samuel, so what has appeared when you Google your name? Okay, nothing about you has appeared. That is fine. I think all of you are still early on into your careers, but from time to time, when you enter the professional world and when you start making a mark on the industries that you're working with, pretty much when you Google it, it will come some type of stories or sometimes mention. Usually it could be on Facebook, but sometimes could be articles or newspapers or blogs that you have appeared in. So professionally, what your personal brand is an image people see of you. Pretty much is a combination of how they look at you in real life, how the media portrays you, as I said, and also the impression that people gain from the information there is about you online. So a good example, as you said, Farah, is your LinkedIn account. That is the first channel of what your personal brand is into the corporate world. As soon as you submit that CV, that interviewer or that HR person will go to your LinkedIn account, see your experience where you have worked, and then also see your network and who you have worked with. So always, always, always be mindful of what you put in these channels because the this is what the corporates and the interviewer will be looking at. How does she market herself? What has she done? Who has she worked with? Who is she connected to? Is she someone who's good with networking? Is she someone also working with marketers? All of this is most important thing. And as I said, be careful. So if you're not able to market yourself or able to properly or consistently create an image of who you are, then people are going to have a hard time understanding who you are, or they might not just cast any interest at all. So, your brand also combines of skills of experience, personality, pretty much how the world see you. You also have to remember, even in a specific channel of LinkedIn or Facebook, it also is telling your story, how it reflects your conduct, your behavior, your spoken and unspoken words, as well as your attitudes. So remember, your story is out there for the world to see. What do you want people to see about you? Some things people say, yes, I want them to see that I'm a serious business person, but what have you done online or what have you done and captured that actually shows that you are a serious business person? You could say it in your head, but if it doesn't reflect it on your channel, then you're falling short of actually creating a wonderful personal brand image for yourself. So, why is personal branding important? It's super important because it highlights the top things about your strength and your passions. It also helps people or industry people believe they know you better. Once they see your story online, that gives them a higher knowledge of trust and also a higher capacity to want to know you. They see the story online, then they will probably call you for an interview or even for a meeting to get to know you more, because what have they already seen is something interesting and it could actually fit to what the product they're selling or even to their company. So when you create a strong brand, it's also considered very influential. A strong, we'll get into more examples of what a strong brand looks like, but when it comes to a personal brand image, let's say you want to be a top person in the banking world. Does your channel or does your account screams you understand what the bank trends are? Have you worked with people in banking? Have you studied banking? All of those traits are something that builds up to your branding. So if you don't have those things in place, then most likely your personal brand is not so strong. But also, the key thing about personal branding is that it also helps you stand out from everybody else. So there could be hundreds and hundreds of people looking for that job, but what is it about your story? What is it about your brand that it stands out? And what is it that they need from you to help their business grow or help their product shine? So it's also very good to demonstrate your knowledge and skills and about your areas of expertise. So when you stand out, it also means your skills and expertise, not only technical skills, as I said this in the first lesson, it's also your soft skills. How do you as a person stand out in how you do your job? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Great. Okay.
Yes, I
So,
have understood.
great. Okay, so I'm gonna call people out. Let's start with Semu. Can you tell me who this person is and what is their brand? What are they known for?
I don't think I recognize her much, but I think it's Janet Jackson. I'm not sure.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow, man.
all the ladies right now, can we just say Semu? No.
Not her.
Farah, can you tell me
Yeah.
who this person is and what is she known for?
Okay, Oprah Winfrey. Her name is Oprah Winfrey, and I've known her for the talk
Go
shows she
girl
was
power.
hosting. No, it's not. It's not Google Power.
No.
Yeah, so I know her for her talk shows that she was hosting, and also she has written some books.
Okay.
Yeah, so she is an inspiration for many people.
Yes. Okay. So that's half of it. Oprah is a talk show host, but also she has one of the largest media and entertainment companies in the United States. She's known as a billionaire in communications. She started out as a Oprah Winfrey show. Then she moved into a production house, magazines, books, TV shows, music, entertainment. So basically, she's in the communications and entertainment. She owns a large company, which is called O. And from there, she's producing everything. So she started out with communication. Now she's more a communications leader and also has many different channels that let's say her books and stuff actually are publishing. So that was a good answer, but I think a lot of people underestimate at her as only a talk shows, but no, she has a large company her company is kind of relating to this person's company, like only in America, in South Africa, and I think also Nigeria. She just launched something in Nigeria. Good. So, Abir, can you tell me who this is? And what is her brand? What is she known for?
For my side, I know she is her name has lived me aside for a while, but I know she is a singer. Just she's a singer, and she has been carrying out some of the songs, and then he has been participating in very large amount of stages with the peoples that are doing the musics. Yeah, but I'm not very much interested in maybe to consider on the musics maybe, but I know she is the someone who is interested with those and participating in various performance in stages. Yeah.
Okay. Who would like to help Abir out to identify who she is and what is she known for?
I would like to help a little.
Can we have Fardeen? Farah, I'm pretty sure you know who this is. Fardeen, can you try?
Yeah, let me just make everyone laugh. She's Jukes' ex. Yeah. So from what I know, I don't know much about branding of her, but what I know is that she's a singer, a Tanzanian made singer. That's all.
Wow.
Name?
Wow. Okay, Farah, please go ahead and just please tell these boys.
Enlighten us.
Okay, so the name I know, I've seen many not telling the name. She's called Vanessa Mdee. And personally, I know her for her songs. So she's a singer and a songwriter. I don't know much more than that.
Okay, so yes, her name is Vanessa Mdee. She's been in the industry for about 15 years. She started out as a show host, and then she moved on to singing, also having her own production house as well as studios. So pretty much her brand in Tanzania is entertainer. She's a singer-songwriter and also entrepreneur into music. Okay, so we're gonna see. Samu, can you tell me who this is and what is his brand known for?
I'm not familiar with his face, to say the truth. I don't recognize him at all.
It's okay, guys. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is okay.
Fardeen, go ahead. Tell me who this is, since I know.
He's one of the big daddies in the world. That's Steve Jobs. Yeah, the guy that I mean, like, who revolutionized Apple company. The iPhone guy, bro. The one that deals with MacBooks,
I know the
iPhones.
name.
Yeah. So he's
I know
Steve
the name,
Jobs.
but I've
He's
never seen the face.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's the big guy. He's the Steve Jobs. So he's the tech enthusiast that revolutionized the Apple products. The first, he was a host when he's not a host actually, but he was doing his own hosting for the Apple products, iPhones, MacBooks. So yeah, he's one of the biggest tech enthusiasts in the world, and his branding is Apple.
Well, you already said his branding. His branding is a tech enthusiast. He is the founder of Macintosh. He did revolutionize pretty much everything touchscreen. He revolutionized computer design as well. Brilliant inventor, brilliant innovationist, brilliant technologist who did die about 10 years ago. But everyone knows him as the founder and the maker of Apple. So good job, Fardeen, at identifying him. So we have, last but not least, who is this man? If you guys don't know him, I don't know what to do. Like, I want the boys to try to answer. Samuel Beer, please tell me.
Reginald Mengi.
Okay.
It's Reginald Mengi.
What?
No, the IPP media.
Yes,
What's his brand? What's his brand? Who is he known for? What is he known for?
He owns the IPP media, ITV, EATV, Radio 1, and other medias. Okay. And also, he's a businessman. That's all I know. And he owns more than 100 companies, last I heard.
Okay, so that is right. But his branding is a bit more versatile. He is a businessman, but he's also a philanthropist. He's an author, and also he is a giver as well, which is the same as philanthropist. But he has many roles and many branding, but everyone knows him as the billionaire of Tanzania. So all of these guys, you can just know their names and understand what their brand or what do they stand for based on what they do, what they've done, how they've helped, and also their stories. And all of this is part of the tips that you need to come up with a personal brand of your own. So we're going to go through the tips now of how to build up a brand. The first is to be authentic. I don't know how much I can stress about authenticity. You have to state what makes you original, what makes you you. Celebrate who you have. Don't ever try to be something that you're not. Once you start doing that, people can see right through you, right through you, right then and there. And especially when you're putting stuff on your CV and you put things that may not make sense, as I said in communication, if it's not consistent and if it's not coherent, people are not going to understand because you're not trying to be authentic. So be authentic, celebrate yourself, show yourself to the world. The second is to understand your audience. Remember, not everyone can pretty much relate to who you are or want to know because that may not be your audience, which is okay. You have to first know who your target customers or who your target corporates, the ones that you want to speak to, in order for them to know what your brand is. Always, always, always make sure that your branding, how you're branding yourself, matches to your target clientele. So, an example would be Oprah. Her target people are pretty much women or media houses. If she starts talking about computers, does that really match her audience? No, it doesn't, because people don't care about the computers in her target audience. They care more about inspirational stuff. They want to hear how they can live day to day based on her inspirations and what type of content is she publishing to inspire other people. That's also very, very important. So the third lesson is be human. I think a lot of people also forget that people relate more when they see the whole picture. So part of your branding is to also showcase like how are you faring with life, shows the issues that you're having or even the problems that you're facing. But with those problems and issues, try to also create solutions. That way people understand this person can not only has problems, but can also see solutions. A good example is Reginald Mengi. He started out at a very, very humble beginning, very like in a poverty. But how he went from poverty to a billionaire, that story is written in his books, and most people relate to him. That's why they look for to him as inspirational. So always try to be human. Make sure that you're not showcasing like you have a perfect life, but you also have struggles and issues too. But with those issues, you also have to showcase how you overcome them. That's also something that human beings like to see. They don't want to see people just having problems, but how they overcome them to inspire. And also it shows that, hey, this person, if this person can do it, so can I. Number four, I think this is all going to be throughout, is always be consistent. Do not try to change your narrative. Your narrative is who you are. It relates to being authentic. If you keep preaching the same message in different ways, that's great. But if you keep preaching different messages, people are not going to understand who you are and they may not want to. So always, always try to be consistent. Number five, this is very important. I think my expert today is also going to tell you. Network. When you're branding, network, interact with people who are actually relative to your brand. You can't just sit in your room and create a LinkedIn account and expect people to know who you are. Go out there, show them who you are. But first, always identify who you're networking to. You can't just network to everybody. Network the people that are relevant to your brand or relevant to the work that you want to create. Number 6, understand industry inside and out. I cannot like fathom and say that when you guys graduate, when you guys are entering the world, if you do not have insights on the latest trends or breaking news about what you're trying to get into, people are not going to take you seriously. It's good to have knowledge of what you're going to be working with. So stay up to date with the latest trend, the competition, breaking news. This helps you also position yourself as a thought leader or someone who has actually ample knowledge of your industry, which then elevates who you are at a personal brand level. If you come into an interview not knowing what the company is about or what's going on around the company's market, people are not going to take you seriously. You have to be there and come with the answers like, hey, also, I saw this happening as well on this country. And if it relates to the industry, this interviewer or that manager will actually see that, okay, this person really understands our industry. I would also like to have her in this company to give me more knowledge and also to contribute success to this company as well. Number 7, develop a strong value preposition. Um, to be honest, this is a bit difficult, I think, when you are starting out because you're still figuring things out and you don't really know where you're going. But it's also good to have a strong mind of what exactly are you of value? Like, what can people take out of you? What makes you special? What does your work say about yourself as well? So when you use the assessment tool like Wing Founder, you're able to find what your value proposition is. So once you find that strength, own it, own it, own it, own it, own it. When the one top question I think everyone asks people when they join, when they're going for an interview, the last thing they will ask, so why do I need you into my company? If you cannot answer that straight on right then and there, you're not going to make it to the next level. You have to tell them why they need you. And you also have to relate to exactly what their company is doing and show off your value proposition, how your value proposition ties to what this company is currently doing. So if you can't make that connection, then they're not going to really see much value for you. So always try to figure out your value proposition before you get to the interview, because then they will understand this person really knows themselves and also knows what I need in my company. So last but not least, become a trusted source of news and relevant information. People like information, people like news. So if you're not sharing news and information that you feel is useful, then you're not really contributing to anything. As I said, when you have like a LinkedIn account, go out there, find news, share it to your network, and then that will spark like, okay, this person has a lot of knowledge about this. Or like an example of Steve Jobs, he had a lot of knowledge about design and tech. That's someone, he's a true source of tech ingenuity. So everyone looked for him for that. Oprah is very good with inspiration. Mengi is very good with business. Vanessa is very good with entertainment. All of them, they share news and information about their industry and also what their branding is about. So that's very, very important and key. Does anyone have any questions about the tips so far? These are very key tips, and I hope you guys are taking notes because it's definitely going to help you when you have face-to-face with these interviewers and also when you're building up like your LinkedIn channel. You have to have all this created. Like LinkedIn, you also have sometimes a quote that you can put. If you have that quote summarized of who you are, then most people are going to see it like, okay, this person knows themselves and I want them on my team or my company. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you my guest. He is the head of agency here at Smart Codes. He has been around the market and industries for years and years. As I said, worked with so many other people. I would like to introduce you to Bruce Mugaisi. Oh my God, I can't say his name. Just no, you can use it. Okay. So I'm
Coolies, do they need to see me? Yeah, they do too. Yeah, what kind of cool. It sounds like it's dark. Hi, how are you?
Fine.
I needed to check. You know, it's Friday. You could have just left a robot in this call. There is who is this? Furaha,
Yes.
and there is Semu.
Yes.
Good stuff. How are you guys?
You're fine.
We're fine.
So, you're fine, yeah. So
Fine.
I'm going to talk about personal branding, and I'll try to make it as simple, basic as possible. I was trying to take some notes as Rachel was going through the different slides. So feel free to ask me any questions. And look at this as a privilege because, again, I know it's Friday, but you're in the process of developing your career. So this is a very important conversation to be having right now, okay? Cool. I will start by maybe a quick introduction. I know Rachel has mentioned. So my name is Bruce Mugaisi, and I head the agency side of the business in Smart Codes. In terms of my experience, I've worked with a couple of other agencies, both local and global. In terms of brands that I've worked with, again, regional brands, global brands, whether you're talking about Coca-Cola, whether you're talking about big brands from Unilever, local brands. So from a branding perspective, I do understand that when you look at products, and also from a marketing and advertising perspective, I'm also very experienced there. But today, I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm here to talk about the experiences and how those experiences can help you as you start your journey. Okay? So I will start with what this is about, personal branding. Personal branding. So what I was thinking about, what do I tell these people when you look at personal branding? And I say, let me start by breaking down what exactly that means, okay? So personal is something to do with you as an individual, right? It's you as a person. And then branding is just something to do with branding, which is a brand, something that you can identify, a mark that identifies you. I wasn't seeing the screen that Rachel presented, but I want to believe it was maybe silhouettes of different people. Oh, there you go. Yes. So maybe images of different people. How I would also have done it is maybe to show also the silhouettes of these people. So if you know Michael Jackson has a silhouette of him trying to do I can't remember that dance, the moonwalk, yeah. And then there's the part where he almost like folds his legs. That is the most identified silhouette in the world. You can Google it. But it's because Michael Jackson was very clear, together with his team, on what personal branding is all about. So I read when I was reading about him back in the day, I was reading about him, and that silhouette was the most identified silhouette in the world. If you go to India, they will tell you that's Michael Jackson. If you come to Africa, they tell you that Michael Jackson. Even people that have never really experienced him on a personal level, they knew that is Michael Jackson. Simply because he understood the power of branding, and then he understood that this is falling into two folds. One, him as a person, so it's something personal, something that someone else cannot replicate. And I think Rachel was talking about being authentic and being yourself. And then there is the brand, which is now what identifies you in terms of now if you're to visually or illustrate it or demonstrate it. So it's very important. Whatever you read, whatever you do, always understand personal branding starts with you as an individual, and you have to have an identity, an identifier, a mark of what makes you stand out from everybody else. I'm going to do a quick check. I'm assuming we're together, Furaha and Semu. Are you guys there?
You can
Yes,
speak.
we're here. Yes, we're here.
Good. So I'm going to be doing this check. It's very important I do this check so that I don't end up speaking to myself because of connection and all that stuff. So we are clear until there. So I'll go on, okay? So I'll start with the you. When you look at personal, I've broken it down. So I'll start with the you. So you has to be something very unique to you. Okay, so maybe you're employed in a company and you're employed in a department where there are 10 people doing the same thing. What makes you as an individual stand out? What identifies you as an individual? It could be how you talk to people. It could be how you relate with people during pressure. It could be the fact that maybe you know how to present more than anybody else. It could be, there's so many things that people have individually and they have to be unique to you. So you need to look at, I mean, this department, for example, that has 10 people doing the same thing like me. What is the one thing that I know I can do best? I can do better than them. And that becomes that one unique thing that completely sets you apart from them. It's very important that you stop and ask yourself that question. And then you're able to say, okay, this is the unique thing about me. Yes, we're in this department where we all can write. Maybe it's a media house. We all can write very good English, but I'm a good storyteller compared to everybody else. Out of 10 people, I am a good storyteller, which means that all the other 9 people can write very good English, but they cannot tell stories as good as I can tell stories. So that becomes the unique thing about you. It could be something, maybe using the same media house as an example. It could be something like, fine, we are all writers in this room. We all can write very good English, but I'm somebody who has a unique eye. I know where I can pick the best story. I might not be a good storyteller, but I know I have an eye for a good story. So that becomes that one thing that is unique about you. It could be the same room, writers, and you're in a meeting, but everybody else cannot be able to present an idea or articulate themselves as good as you can. That becomes the most important thing that is unique about yourself, and you use it to your advantage. So the key word here that I'm trying to drive to you guys is when you look at a personal thing on a personal level, you look at yourself, you now what is unique about you, Furaha? What is unique about you, Semu, that makes you stand out from everybody else? All right. I know you're starting off your career. I'll talk about that later, but I'm just trying to break down what does personal branding really mean. The other point that I want to talk about is setting a meeting with yourself to really decide, okay, fine, I'm starting out my career and I'm in this office that has 200 people, and you've decided you're going to be very ambitious and climb up the ladder. So how do you do that? You can't do that if you do not have what you call a meeting with yourself. Remember, this is personal branding. This is not about a crowd. This is not about a team of 10 people. It's about you as an individual. How do you brand yourself? Because with personal branding comes the other aspect of branding, which is positioning. So how do you brand yourself so that you can position yourself to what you want next? Now, for all that to happen, you need a meeting with yourself. A meeting with yourself means you can sit down, depending on your ambience, decide, okay, I'm in this company, for example, or I'm starting a business, or I'm in this industry. Now, I want in the next 5 years to attain X. You need to define that. You need to define what is this one thing that you want to attain. And I know maybe in your studies and in your interactions, you've had people say you need to write things down. So this is a step where you actually do that. You sit down and say, in the next 5 years in this industry, in this workplace, I want to attain X. Now, for you to attain X, there's certain things you need to do. One of those things includes your brand, because it is you who wants to attain that X in a span of 5 years. So you need to understand, okay, fine. So there's certain things I need to break them down into years, months, weeks, and days that will get me to that X. And be very deliberate about it. That's why this thing called meeting with yourself is very important. What it does, it makes you sit, look at yourself, and then say, I want to attain X. So the first thing you do is, maybe in branding or when people look at it from a corporate level, is SWOT analysis. So you look at yourself and say, what are the strengths that you have? What are the weaknesses? What I like calling areas of improvement? What are the opportunities that are there within these 5 years? And what are the threats that you have? You literally write them down. So your strengths could be now the things I'm saying you're good at. So you write them down. And the good thing about you guys is you're young. So there are things that you're good at which can remain. And then the areas that need to be improved are things that you can take time to learn. Maybe it could be you want to learn more about marketing or about coding. You have the time, you're young, you can do that. Someone who is 40, 45, 50, that stops being something they look at because they are no longer young. They will focus on their strengths. All right. But you're young, you have time to learn, you have time to make mistakes, and you can write those down. Okay. Then you come to the opportunities and you come to the threats. The threats could be many things, including time. The biggest threat that I think, in my opinion, a lot of young people fail to see is they think they have time. You don't have it. Okay. That's the flip side of this thing in terms of it being a double edge, that you're young, you have time to make mistakes, but then the threat is you thinking, I have so much time. Let me take my time. I can always do this thing after 5 years. It might work out, it might not work out. So when you have a meeting with yourself, you're breaking it down in terms of your SWOT analysis. Remember, this is still going back to you as an individual, which is all about you, personal, and the brand, the branding. Okay, I'll do a quick check. We are together, Semu, Fra, and Galaxy A10.
Yes, we're together.
Yeah, we're together.
Good stuff. So I'll continue. So once you do that meeting, and this meeting, you can't do it when there are 50 people around you. You need to be, like, even go to a coffee house, have your headphones on with some melancholy music and just literally ask yourself, hivi mimi ni nani? What do I want to achieve in 5 years? What am I good at? What are the things that I need to really work on? Narrow it down to the most minute thing. That minute thing will build up to whatever you want to be, all right? Now, when it comes to branding, I always tell people, you train people how to treat you, not the other way around. You train people how to treat you. If you want people to treat you as a joker, guess what? It's because you're handling yourself as a joker. If you want people to treat you as a serious person, guess what? It's because you're handling yourself as a serious person. So you train people how to treat you. And, whether it comes to, I'll give you a good example. Back in Nairobi, when I used to have, like, let's say, a quick meeting with people besides work. So I can say we're meeting and maybe somebody decides for whatever reason, they're going to show up 30 minutes late. They won't find me. I will have gone. Simply because I want them to understand, if I say we meet at 9, it's fine. We're Africans, give and take. You might show up 10 minutes late, but if you come 1 hour later, you will not find me. I will not be there waiting for you. So that is an example of you train people how to treat you. But imagine you've said we're meeting at 9 p.m. You as a person, remember this is about your brand, 9:10, 9:20, 9:30, 9:40, no communication, nothing has happened from your side. What are you trying to tell that other person? That, you know what, you are okay waiting. But if you leave within the 15 minutes, give and take, I think that's fair. If you leave and they don't show up and you don't tell them that you've left, and then they show up and then they go like, hey, I'm here, where are you? You tell them, I left, we were to meet at 9. Trust me. You do that twice, the third time they will always be there on time. And if they're running late, which will happen every other time, based on the realities that we have, they will be able to communicate. That is an example of you train people how to treat you. So when it comes to branding, you train people how to treat you, which then brings me to the other point, you can define how you want people to know you, and to you stick to that message. Sometimes we define, just a minute. So sometimes you can define how you want people to treat you. Just hold on, I want to refer to, I think it's my screen. Okay, just give me a second. Cool. So sometimes you can define how you want, no, sometimes you feel that people know me to be like this and like that. It's because you let them to believe that. You need to tell people what you want them to know about you. So you need to define that course. It's very important. So Rachel, I think, spoke about, the social media networks like LinkedIn, which is a social media professional network, Instagram, Twitter, and all these platforms. There is content that you're putting there, and people are following you, maybe because they know you from high school, or they know you from university and so on. But guess what? Whatever you post there is what they will consume, and it's what they will believe. So think of somebody who Monday to Friday, I don't know if you have these friends, Monday to Friday, there are elements, there are, Maison, there are, Monday to Friday, the perception, it might not be the reality, but the perception you have about these people is they are partying a lot. It might not necessarily be a bad thing if, partying is their way of making money, but that's the perception you have about them, that this person parties a lot. Very different from someone who maybe on a Friday, they will be at Maison and post about Maison, you'll be like, it's Friday, everyone is allowed to have a drink. But if they're posting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe an exception of Sunday and Monday, the perception you have about this people is that this person is always partying. What does that tell you about this? It tells you that it's possible to define how you want people to treat you and to see you. It's a possibility. You can actually define how you want people to see you and the message that you decide to stick with. And that is why anything on social media, in fact, what Rachel said about when you maybe apply for a job, the human resource will search your name, and the first place they'll go to is LinkedIn. They'll actually go beyond LinkedIn. They'll go to other, platforms to see, what is this person about? They can even use pseudo accounts to just find out what is this person all about. So it's good that you again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you stop being, I think Rachel mentioned that thing about being authentic. I'm not saying you stop being authentic. Be authentic about yourself. I mean, if you don't read books, you don't read books. you can't start posting about books and half your population know you don't read books. So if you don't read books, you don't read books. But decide. You remember what I said about personal branding is about you, so the uniqueness that you have. Decide out of these 10 things that I can do, what is the unique thing about me that I want people to take out, and focus on that. We love social media, and that's a good thing, but I don't think it's an avenue for you to post everything. Those people who post everything, everything. I've woken up, I'm washing my face, I'm putting on my shoes, I'm now in an Uber, I've alighted an Uber, I'm in the office. Everything. You don't need that. You need to decide, okay, when I'm posting this, again, what do I want people to know about me? And that is why I was saying, you have the luxury of deciding how to drive your narrative, and stick to your narrative. Don't change it. I'm sure on your platforms, whether it's LinkedIn or any other social media platform that is not necessarily professional, I'm sure you have people that you follow and you're like, I can't really put a finger on what this person is all about. That becomes a very difficult conversation to have when you're talking about personal branding. People need to know you for something. You're better known for something than nothing, or even everything. This thing about a jack of all trades. You're better known than, hey, you want to talk about technology? Sharon is the person to go to. You want to talk about, sports? They know who to talk to. And you can decide, you can break it down into different platforms. So I'll give you a good example. So when it comes to me, for instance, social media, in terms of maybe Instagram and Facebook, I focus on this thing. I focus on maybe adventure or travel. And it could be a simple thing as Zanzibar or Bagamoyo. But that's what I'll focus on. And then I'll focus on maybe the books that I read. And then I'll focus on maybe wine. But when it comes to LinkedIn, I will focus on work, maybe a project that we've launched, maybe my point of view. So someone can easily know, because again, I think Rachel mentioned about, you also have to be human. You can't be this person on Instagram, you're just telling us about work, 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 work. I mean, you don't even have a family, you know, and that's why you're seeing CEOs like, who's the CEO for Virgin Atlantic? Richard Branson. Yes, Richard Branson, you will see that when it comes to LinkedIn, you can see it's about work, 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 but also they have this side that is human, you know, because you're human. You're like, oh, you have a family, or you have a relationship, or today's, you know, you attended a family meeting. Go to maybe Closer Home, the CEO for Stanchart, Sanjay, what he posts on Instagram, completely different from what he posts on LinkedIn. So again, this is a deliberate decision that you have to make as far as your brand is concerned. And it goes back to the meeting that you have with yourself, where you decide, what do you want to be known for? And remember what I've told you, you have the luxury, you have the power to decide how you want people to know you, to view you, and you need to stick to that narrative. You don't change it from one narrative to the other. You'll confuse people, and then they will not take you seriously. I'll do another check. We're together.
Yes, we're together.
Yes, we're together.
Yes, we are together.
All your questions, I'll be taking them later. So I'll continue. I think my other point that I wanted to drive at is, yes, now branding also has a lot to do about relationships. Now, relationships are big, okay? So luckily for us, we're living at an age where you can build relationship online. You can have a relationship with somebody 1,000 miles away. You can have a relationship with someone in New York, for example, in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Kenya. We have that luxury. There are people 15 years ago, they couldn't do that. So it was a hard work, and it was probably more authentic. So right now, I'll give you another example of my cousin, for instance. He's a dancer, and all he posts about is dancing. A song is released, and dancing, dancing, dancing. So one day, a Nigerian musician, Yemi Alade, reposted their dance, and he was, he was so happy, and everybody in the family was like, "What is the big deal here?" But for him, it was a big deal because there's a superstar who actually must have noticed the dance moves and did what? Reposted and actually commented about the dance moves. So what does that tell you? That we have now a platform where people are actually taking seriously what you do. So you can have relationships online the same way you can have relationships offline. So I'll come to offline later, where we're talking about networking, but let's talk about online. Now, back to the session where I mentioned about being deliberate about what you post. So there are people, maybe out of 1,000 followers that you have, maybe only 10 or even 100 or 50 are you, based on the meeting that you've had and the decision that you want people to take you for, maybe only 100 people will take note. That is fine. That is important, because those are the most important people in your audience universe to decide that I can relate with what you're doing. So that's already a relationship you're making. So the same way my cousin is a dancer and was able to continue posting about, and if you go to his page, there is nothing else you will see. You'll never see anything about a book. In fact, the day he'll post about a book, everybody will be like, you're pretending. This is not authentically you. You know you love dancing. So when you come to you yourself as an individual and you have the content that you decide you want to be posting, don't worry. There is somebody that really matters that will take notes, that will notice, hey, you actually write very well. You actually have good point of view about certain topics. Can we call you for a youth forum or a youth session? And that's how you slowly start building the relationship, because remember, you are deliberate about it. So don't be this person who just posts anything, without really thinking about it, yeah? So that's online relationships. Let's come to offline relationships. Now, when you start your career, if you guys have already started working, and even if you're not, it's still fine. When you start your career, one of the most important things that will get you noticed is your performance. So performance is very important when you start your career. Someone like Rachel, who has a lot of experience, performance has already gotten him there. People are not looking for that. People are looking for leadership, relationship, and stuff like that. Now you are starting off. Don't be deceived 1 minute. Your performance, and there's a leader called Kalahari who says they call it performance currency. It's very important that Sembo started, maybe 2020 in January, and 2 months later, we're seeing that, this project was stalling. It's moving. That's performance currency. All right. Furaya started maybe June 2020, and we had a project that has been lagging in the system for maybe 6 months, but she tacked it within 2 days. We're seeing traction. That's performance currency. That is your brand. So you decided, I want to be known, when I start in here. Remember the 5-year period that I talked about? The first year, I want to be known as a performer. So you start making sure that you're taking those parameters, that you are performing, and therefore your performance currency is shooting up high. Very important. Now, once you finish your 5 years, performance stops being 90% or 100% the issue. Your relationship currency becomes something that people are looking at. So you've been performing very well. So they move you from being supervised by one person, you're now being supervised by maybe 4 people. You're doing work for 4 different departments. The thing that will keep you there is your relationship currency. And your relationship has to go in tandem with your personal branding. When someone sees you walking into department 1 to 2, what do they see walking through those doors? They go like, oh, there goes the joker. They start typing. Or, she's come. She's briefing us late. That's already branding in itself, how people perceive you when you walk through those doors. So performance, remember, is very important. After 5 years, you start working on your relationship. So when you're in a company, remember, you'll meet difficult people, you'll meet easy people, you'll meet people who will take 10 years to understand. You'll send an email and somebody it will ring a bell after another 1 week that, oh, you were talking about this. So for you to be able to excel, as far as your branding is concerned, you go back to your relationship. How do you want people to first perceive you? When you walk that door, they know, this is serious. Guys, we need to pay attention. This is a serious project. And this person knows their work. They've already done their homework. Branding, okay? Then you understand there are people who are difficult. There's someone who will take 10 years to understand what you say. You know someone who you will go to when you need quick things. So you start building those relationships based on them. Never in your personal branding journey should you want people to be like you. That won't happen. Take people for who they are and work around it. Then you'll be like, every time someone picks this project, things always move. But the moment we give Fura, they just trouble. I'm Fura, no offense to you, I'm giving an example. So that is a journey when it comes to personal branding. Your relationship with people boils down to how you want these people to take you, and therefore that is personal branding. Now, my favorite, authenticity, okay? Now, you remember what I mentioned about my cousin? I'll use that as an example. Now, for the longest time, I think right now maybe he has 2,000 followers, very active. He has never posted anything about books. Imagine just randomly he says, he posts a book, and then once of all, this book has nothing to do with dancing. Everybody like, you're trying too hard. You're trying too hard. You're trying to be so and so. So you have to be authentic. Do you know why? No one can be as you are. Nobody can be, and you are you. Remember when I talked about being unique? You are you. If, for example, you articulate maybe, or there's a way you talk, there's your voice. They know you for who you are. There's this guy, allow me to just refer to my phone. I posted about him yesterday. He's been telling the planet story for the longest time. His name is, sorry?
David.
Yes. Attenberg. David Attenberg. Just check him out, yeah? So David Attenberg has been telling the planet story for the longest time. I mean, some of you are not born, I was just getting born or something. I mean, the longest time. And he's known for that. That's the one thing that he's known for. And he's unique in his voice, in how he tells his story, the places he goes. So he's known for that. Now imagine out of nowhere, he says, you know what, guys, I'm releasing a rap song. Guys will be like, what's wrong with you? Like, this is not what you know. This is not what we know you for. So your authenticity is very important. And that's why I was telling you, you need to have a meeting with yourself to define what am I good at? Trust me, you will know what you're good at without even someone telling you. You will know when you're struggling with what you're good at without someone telling you. But for that to happen, you need to have the meeting with yourself and decide, this is what I'm good at, and start ensuring that you perfect it. Remember the SWOT thing that I mentioned? There'll be areas that you need to improve. So work on them, but don't really, it gets to a certain age in your career where that stops being an issue. Focus on what you're good at. Now, for you to be good at something, people will tell you need like 10 years to perfect it so that you do it without a struggle. So if you know, maybe, I feel like I'm good at maybe storytelling, like I said, I feel I'm good with, solving conflicts, start working towards that. Cultivate yourself towards that. Then as you continue growing in your career, take yourself into areas where you know that thing that you're good at will continue being challenged. The things that you need to improve on will continue being improved on, but you'll never be as good as the thing that you're authentically known for. So let me go to the other points. I have 2 more points and then I can take your questions. Networking. The biggest mistake people make about networking is you're called for an event. Let's assume there was no COVID in the beginning of this year, so there were many events. You're called for an event. You carry as many business cards as possible if you've already started working. Or if you've not started working, you go there saying, I'm going to have very many business cards. Ask yourself how many people are thinking like you. There are many. There are many people thinking like you. And that's why I keep telling people the era of business cards is long gone. Go for an event knowing very clearly who is going to be in this event, who are going to be the main speakers. Let's say there are 5. You will not, trust me, after an event is maybe 30 minutes or 1 hour of networking session. You won't, you imagine if there's a 30 minutes networking session and you'd say, I want to meet all of them. So you'll be moving from one cocktail table to another. You just look like someone moving around everywhere. Decide and be very clear that I want to meet the marketing director of NMB. I know she's going to speak about ABCD. Let me research about her. What does she like? Fine. During the networking session, my aim, either with the help of somebody, is to go to that table where the marketing director of NMB is. At the very least, let me leave that session knowing about what she said, so that I can retweet about it, or at least let me leave that session making sure that they know me. But think about it that you say, hey, there are 5 people talking. You move from this cocktail table to this other one. You just be looking like, you know what? Have you been to a club where someone is just moving from one table to the other? You have no direction. You've not decided what you want to do. So networking should not be confused as speaking a business card. No, that person has given away very many business cards. You're not the only one. Especially if the networking event is targeting to people who are starting their career. There are many people who've gone there with only one goal. I need a business card. So even you calling them, you might be lucky if they pick your call or if they even recognize you. You need to decide what is that one unique thing, again, branding, that will make you stand out from all these people who are coming for this networking event so that you can be able to come up with something. Networking beyond a networking event. Let's say you've met in maybe an event that has nothing to do with maybe a career or professionalism. Maybe it's just an event out there. Maybe an artist has come and you met someone, or you've spotted maybe someone in a certain leadership role. You don't go there and start talking about work. Biggest mistake you make. That person is not there to talk about work. The least you can do is, hi, my name is so-and-so. I happen to admire your work and I'm here to enjoy, and also, I'm a fan of maybe this artist. You might be surprised the next thing you're like, oh, you like this artist. You know that song. Before you know it, you're striking a relationship and you're already positioning yourself. Imagine the similar situation and you're like, hi, can I have your business card? It's just not going to work. So networking is very important, but you have to be very unique about how you approach it. Some people also do this thing called sending messages on LinkedIn. How many messages do you think the CEO of God knows which bank receives in a day. What makes you think they'll see your message? Okay, granted, you might be lucky, but what are your chances? You know, there are very many people who do that. I'm like, you're better off seeing them post about a certain topic and start questioning. Give your comment and say, by the way, what do you think about this? They might not recognize it the first time, but be consistent. That's why I was saying sticking to your narrative. Be consistent. One day, and they're going to respond. And slowly, you start building that relationship. I don't want to continue further. We could go on and on about personal branding, but I want your takeout to be these things. Personal branding is about yourself and about branding, which is about brand, and a brand is about something that can be identified. So there has to be like an identifying mark about yourself. When you talk about you, it is only you, something that you're good at, something that is unique to you. If you're in a room of 10 writers, what makes you stand out from every other writer? It could be you have an eye for good stories. It could be your English is very perfect, such that in this room, everybody else can write, but you're the go-to person before that work is published. The people are very powerful, by the way, when it comes to writing. Did so and so say this before it went to being published? So you decide that is one thing I want to be known for. And then the other takeout is demystify networking. Let it stand out. How you do your networking, let it stand out from everybody else. If everyone is going to give a business card, decide not to give one. So I'm open for any questions.
Thank you so much, Bruce. What you have been sharing has made me realize a lot of things, and I've learned a lot. And maybe I don't know if my question will stand in the part of personal branding, but you just tell me. I'm having a hard time when people tell me to give a short bio. I don't know if it stands still in the part of personal branding. Looks like I can't hear you.
Repeat that, please. I lost you. Sorry.
Okay, so I wanted to ask if when I'm asked about a short bio about me, so like a very short story or of how I describe myself. Can I treat that as a part of personal branding?
Of course you can. Imagine, let's assume where you asked this question. Just give me a scenario.
Okay, for example, we are actually I'm the HR of a small NGO that we've just started. And one day the CEO just told me, you give me a short bio about yourself in 2 lines. So I was like, I don't know where to start. So I felt like,
And was this like a written bio?
yes, but she said 2 lines.
So that's fine. That is personal branding. It reminds me of a time when, and I think it still happens to date. So for example, when someone joins an organization, HR always writes the bio of these people like, hi, maybe Sharon has joined us. Sharon is coming from ABCD. Sharon likes 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's still a bio. But when you're given an opportunity to write that, you need to go back to what I've said. After the meeting that you had with yourself, what is the narrative you want people to know you for? So even that which you write, have to have that in mind, that I'm writing this for people to know this is what I'm all about. So you can't lose that opportunity. That is probably the first step in an organization for people from all levels. In fact, an organization that has 200 people, you might not get the chance to meet all of them. So if you've been told to write a bio, you make sure that if this thing goes, this is what people will see when you walk into the room. So yes, to answer you, treat that as personal branding. And in fact, be very careful because that's written, it's going to stick in the emails and that's what people will know you for. So you can joke about it and that's what people will take home.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Feel free, any question. I'm seeing Habil, same Fura, who has asked the question. So any question, please.
I have a question right now here. I was asking on the some other people who have been achieved in the success, who have reached somewhere else in their life. And when you just representing yourself the way that you are, you shall be known that you are somebody. They will read your character, and then they can classify you as a person, as a certain person having the good character or the bad character. Therefore, I think also when you just representing yourself to somebody, he can just read you that your character. Maybe you are fitting for his company or you're not. Therefore, I was asking on how to manage that, because others, we fail to present our ideas in front of the people because afraid that we can be readed that we are, you have you have a bad character or not. Therefore, how can you manage to represent your ideas to the somebody in order to have the quick face or the quick character that will be identified to him?
Okay.
Yeah.
If you I've held interviews where I can tell this person is very good at what they do, but they're not able to articulate themselves very well. Now, when you go back to what I told you about your authenticity, if, for example, you cannot articulate your ideas very well, you need to be honest from the onset. That, guys, I have come for this interview. Maybe I'm using this as an example, no offense to developers. I'm a developer. I am not able to express myself, or let me not even use developer. I'm a creative. I'm not able to express myself, but guess what? This is my work. So you can review it. You can give me a task to see whether I'm the right fit or not. When you do that, you become very comfortable fast because you made it very clear from the onset in an interview, for example, that I cannot, because not everyone can express themselves. That one I can tell you for a fact. And it takes a lot of experienced people during the interview session to understand you cannot use that as a baseline to judge whether someone is good or not. But you have the responsibility in your personal branding journey to understand that I cannot talk maybe as good as Sharon or as good as Rachel, but I know my work. So when I go for this interview, I'll just start. Hi, my name is Bruce, and I just wanted you to know that I get very nervous in interviews. So what I've done is I've prepared my portfolio, all the work that I've done, and maybe you can look at it and I can pick questions as you go by. Already you have said, if the people interviewing you are sane and they're experienced enough to understand they cannot use expression as a benchmark for qualifying you for a job, they will take your laptop or whatever gadgets you have, they will review your work and they'll start asking you questions based on that, because they will know they're interviewing a creative person based on their output and not necessarily what they say. So you need to be very clear about your strengths. So if you know, for example, I keep telling people, if you know, for example, that this interview, one of the key parameters is selling your ideas, but you're very bad at selling your ideas, then ask yourself, how best do you do that? There's a time I sat for an interview where someone came with a PowerPoint presentation for a very junior role. And then we discovered later that PowerPoint presentation was to just, she felt she will forget things that are very important. And guess what? The PowerPoint presentation really helped because it was able to showcase who she is. It was able to help her remember her points and so on and so forth. So part of authenticity is just being clear about what you're good at and what you're not good at. And even if the people interviewing you for this job will dismiss you, the right people will not. And that for me is probably the most important thing, that there's someone who understood and saw something in you that other people didn't. I always tell people, if you go for this case, the guys who attend to people, flight attendants, they're called air hostess, and yes. One of the key things they pick is the tallness. So imagine you're not tall. What do? Are you going to start trying to become tall in 1 hour? No. So you just be honest with yourself and say, okay, not for me. Let's try. Or I want to still work in the airline, but maybe you have a good voice. Then you become the person maybe making these announcements. And there are people who built a very good career from that. So, Habil, I think to answer your question, always go back to being true to yourself. There's someone who I've interviewed before and they were very nervous and they say, I get so nervous in interviews. Remember, their problem is not expression. They just get nervous in interviews. Do you know what we did? We're like, okay, fine, let's try and make this a bit much more conversational. We brought in coffee. We even cracked a joke. And the guy was able to go on from there. But imagine if we were all there. Hey, what's your name? What's your name? They will blow out completely and we'll never get to know what their values are. But it helped that they were authentic about it. They didn't come to try so hard to be like, to talk good English. I've been in interviews where someone is trying to talk English. I'm like, you're really trying hard. You might as well just go with Kiswahili. And it's still fine. So be real, be authentic. I think authenticity is one of the key things that has been said over and over again when it comes to personal branding.
Okay, I have also another question right now. I was just comparing to the interviews that have been conducted to the companies right now, for nowadays. They have been asking those interviewees that tell us about yourself. Is that equals to the personal branding?
They actually want to know what kind of person you are. They want to know, are you able to work with people in terms of team? Are you an egoistic person? Do you feel so good about yourself? And therefore, if you work in a team, you dismiss everybody else. Those are very deliberate questions. So you need to be not just careful about them, but you also need to be real about them because they're trying to find out what kind of person are you besides your papers, besides your qualifications, besides your work experience. You could be in a setting like an advertising agency, and then they just discover that, you're just a boring person, you're not outgoing. Or they discover that you're very religious, you therefore cannot work on an alcoholic brand. So those questions are important and they're very deliberate.
It's also part of your soft skills. Remember, it's your soft skills. If they're asking, they want to know you as a person, who you are. So if you don't know your soft skills, then they can't really take you seriously.
Go on, let the questions come, or forever keep quiet after this.
Okay, I have a question. When is the right Semo?
Oh,
okay, I just wanted to know that when is it the right time to start this personal branding? Is it right now, effective immediately, or should we just wait until we've started working or after graduating?
Immediately.
Effective immediately.
I cannot emphasize that enough. The first job I got when I was still in college. And it was because I was doing some events. So, these career fairs and stuff like that. Then I got the job, okay? And it was simply because of that. So start your personal branding. So quick question, you're in what year?
I'm entering third year this year. I'm currently in my second year.
Even the right time. And you just start now. You know those people in school that you look at them, you're like, later on you find out that they're either lawyers or politicians. Like, I'm not surprised. They were debating with each and everyone in school. So start now. Personal branding starts now. Define who you want people to know you for. And as you continue growing in your career, to be very honest, you'll get to discover yourself much more. And your tactics might change over time, but they'll always stick true to what you are or what you're good at.
Okay, I have also another question right now. For us that are doing the technological issues or technological studies, like computer science and telecommunication engineering, example, you can find right now that you have many areas of studying. You see, how can you recognize that you have the effective performance on the certain field? Example, we can encounter example as who are doing example computer science. You can find that you can work to many fields, example programming, business intelligences, and such stuffs like those. How can you realize that for this time we are learning a bit about this certain thing, and you have many fields to be engaged in? and maybe to those fields that you are engaged in, you have the best quality in performance to those others than these that you're participating right now. Therefore, how can you recognize that? And hence, I have realized that it takes more time to recognize the area that you are fitted on. You see, therefore, for us who are taking this one, that we have seen that you can stick to this area, and at that time you can find that there are other areas that you will be engaging to the other time that you will be good at. Therefore, how can you assist us? How can you help me to know for this time whether I am for this field that I have been engaged to, whether it is fit for me, or the other that will be studying later on, it will be fit for me.
Just make me understand your question again. Just break it down much simpler for me to understand. So the question is?
The question is this one, that for us, we are doing computer science example. You see, we have very much field to be engaged in. And for this time, we're just studying the part of it. You see, maybe your personal brand, or your personal experience, or your personal personal brand is engaging into the other aspects rather than that that aspect that you are engaged right now. Therefore, how can you determine yourself that this field is well for me, and it is fit for me for my personal aspects?
Have you guys answered the question? Habil.
Yeah.
A question, how to know when to specialize?
Yeah, set like that.
And what year are you?
I'm in the first year right now. In the second.
Okay.
Communication skills.
Yes.
Communication. Come on, guys.
So makes sense. I think let's do this. I think the best way. So you've just started university, isn't it? Like maybe what semester?
We have completed the second semester, and then we are going to the second year.
Okay, good start. So you just started university. Yeah, I think ask that question at the end of second year. Simply because the way the university curriculum is structured, I hope it's the same in Tanzania, but I think it is. The first year is sort of just to immerse you into this is the university life. These are all the courses you can do. This is all things. Second year, you begin to start sort of discovering yourself. Remember, you're just from maybe your high school getting into university. There's so much energy going on. When you start to a third year is when you start feeling like this. I know of people who've gone the whole 3 years getting into the fourth year and they realize, wait, I don't want this. So have fun right now. Of course, when you're having your fun, pass your exams, meet as many people as possible, get into as many clubs as possible. Remember, you have time, you have that luxury of time, you have the energy, the stamina to do all these things. When you start your third year, the question of specialization will come naturally. And if it doesn't, that's still fine. Do not necessarily compare yourself to others. It will come surely.
Okay, and while you have spoken that the personal branding starts right now.
Yes, branding does not stop. So
Okay.
there's a way people will take you to school. I'm sure in high school you have people who are seen as the jokers of the class, isn't it?
Yeah, precisely. We are.
I'm sure you have people who, when a teacher asks a question, you're like, so and so is going to ask or answer, isn't it?
Yes.
And there are people who are very good with maybe games. That was branding. Personal branding now is just as you continue. So there is personal branding from that level of community. But as you get into the workspace, it morphs into something different that you decide. So personal branding does not stop. There's a way, the same way they, even in acting, you have big actors, local, international. There's a way they position themselves for certain movies. Have you ever seen an actor like, wait, you're acting this role? How? So personal branding doesn't stop. It's just that maybe for you right now, it will be personal branding from a university or a student perspective, which will be very different from somebody who is in their third and fourth year.
Understood well.
Any other question? I'm seeing there's Mark. I think Furad dropped.
Very late, so I don't think.
Yeah, I'm good, Chief.
Cool. Any questions? Semu, Habil, any more questions? We call it a day. Has this been helpful?
For me, I have maybe advice for my colleague here who are participating in this discussion. I think personal branding also starts when you have maybe studying or you have learned from various sources, example, reading the magazine, and then you can identify yourself that this area, when when I stick to this area, my life is going to be perfect. You see, therefore, for reading various tips or magazines, they can allocate you to the place where you have the talent, maybe, or they have the certain thing that is unique for your life. Therefore, it's just simple as that. Or maybe if you have another thing to advise us or to add on that.
Okay.
The audio, the volume. Okay, so Habil, I'm gonna also give you some advice right now. Thank you so much for inquiring, but I think I remember yesterday for communication skills, to really understand, to make sure your communication or your information is coherent, it's logical, and also consistent. I know you just started university, so when you're speaking to maybe someone who has a lot of experience, again, you really need to think and choose your words carefully, because right now, even for me, I'm trying to understand what you're asking, and Bruce doesn't really know, and Sharon doesn't really know, which is fine. And we, as leaders and managers and people who have experience, owe to you joining this course to be very honest. So I can understand. Actually, I don't understand what you're trying to say, to be honest. But just my advice: go back to the communication skills and narrow everything down in terms of that question that you asked. What did you just ask right now? If you repeat it over and over again and you listen to it, does it make sense? Is it coherent? Is it consistent? Do they understand? If right now we can't understand, then maybe you need to go back, think, just sit, and then come back until, if you say it over and over again, and it's understandable to yourself and to others, then you can come back and ask the question. Because right now I can get you are trying to get information, but it's not translating. Like the message, as I said, the sender and the receiver right now, we're not receiving it and we're not understanding what you're trying to say. It's not a criticism, it's literally just advice going forward. Even when you're networking, make sure that people understand what you're trying to say. Sal, I think we're kind of going over time. It's 8 o'clock and I don't want to take the time. But thank you, Bruce, for joining us. Thank you guys for listening. So please do your Wing Finder assessment. The assignment is due today or tomorrow. It's pretty much a personal SWOT assignment. You can go back to the slides and then also watch the video. It's pretty simple. I think everyone knows what a SWOT analysis is. It's basically a framework that assesses your strength, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Once you've identified, so it usually connects to each other. So your strengths, what you're really good at, what you're really known for, actually taps into the opportunities that can also bring you to new things, new ideas, new hobbies. So whatever you have as your strength actually connects to your opportunities. So when you have weaknesses, the weaknesses part actually taps into the threats. Whatever weaknesses you have, you might have now, don't consider that as something that can bring you down. Just know that weaknesses can be improved. If they can't, then be authentic, as Bruce had said, be honest, and whoever that you're communicating to would understand that this person is being honest with themselves. And maybe what we can do is try to go onto their level of, so that we both can reach an understanding. Threats pretty much is like your competition. Who are you going against? How can you then overcome that threat? So just make sure you go to the Red Bull Finder, Wing Finder. It'll give you a summary. So this is what you pretty much get. This is my passport that tells me who I am. Well, it tells me pretty much what, like how I work also, like. Yeah, so everyone can now judge me and understand who I am. This is what makes me unique. This is pretty much after the assessment. It gives you your top strength, your positives, and your negatives. It tells you whether you're adaptable, or what type of like person can you be, and what are the things that you need to work on. So this assessment really helps understand what you are lacking and also what opportunities you have. So once you get this, you'll be able to do the SWOT analysis straight on. Does anyone have any questions about the assignments or also the assessment? Is there something you guys didn't understand?
I have a question.
Okay,
have
Farah
already-
has a question. I don't think Bruce can
Maybe I
answer
can
that.
rephrase. Yeah.
So,
The
Farah
question,
had asked,
sorry.
how do you brand yourself as a computer science background? My dear,
So
this is
the
what
problem
I tell
is,
everyone.
yeah.
Your work speaks for itself. Okay?
Okay.
Actually, those careers and just your work.
Yes, especially with tech background, your work means everything. But also how you display your work is also something very important. As I know computer science and people who says tech people, we don't know how to communicate, which is not true. My background is tech and I know how to communicate. I had to learn how to communicate because I was always the person who would be programming but not really saying anything. But over time, literally, people have to understand, I know tech and I also know marketing. Showcase that through your work. And also, as I said, people also want to look at you as a source of information. People who study tech have a lot of power and we have a lot of knowledge. You just have to nurture that and share that with the world. Don't just sit there and be like, oh, I know how to code. Okay, what other things could you be doing to showcase people you have this knowledge? Showcase through your work. That's the best way. So I hope that answered the question. Thank you guys so much. If Mark, I know you came in late, we'll upload the video and then you'll be able to see. Is there any comments, last minutes?
I have a question. I have already done the SWOT analysis from my side, but I just need to know that am I supposed to upload that PDF which they've sent? Okay, thank you.
Not the Red Bull one, the document. The document.
The document.
Okay, so let me just show you one more time. So once you click this, you come to this place, right? So this is
Okay.
the document here. You click this, and then you go into a Word document. Once you finish, you upload it. So you upload it here.
Okay.
You click this, download the document, do the SWOT analysis on Microsoft Word, and then upload it here and then send. This is an
Okay,
example
thank you.
if that's just the assessment after you do this.
Okay.
Cool. All right, guys, thank you so much. Have a good evening.
You too, Rachel.
All right, bye.